Good evening, everybody. I hope that you're well. My name is Dornumdu, and I'm the host of Gather to Grow here on Food from Zanzi. We come to you now twice a month on Instagram Live, and we share information, all things agriculture, focusing on various commodities, various aspects of farming. And I'm really excited to be able to be here with you once again. Today, we're specifically talking about sugarcane farming. And we've invited some experts, or I've invited some experts to come and talk to us about just the broader aspect of it. So we want to kind of understand, what is a good way to start if you're a novice farmer and you want to explore this as another kind of way to diversify your agricultural production. We also want to kind of get into, what does it mean what are the right varieties to select, preparing the soil, understanding what pests and diseases affect sugarcane farmers. As far as producing, would like to spearhead a sunflower national development program for South Africa. Yes, that's amazing, actually. Is there an association for sunflowers? Let me actually quickly search for it. Sunflowers Association, South Africa. How do I usually South Africa? I did a quick Google search. There is a South African Flower Growers Association, but there's nothing for sunflowers specifically. There's the SA Flower Growers Association. Thank you so much for everyone who's joining. I'm just trying to get my speakers to come through. So that's why I'm babbling. Please do tell me where you're joining from, and invite anyone you think might, find this specific session valuable. We're focusing on sugarcane production and understanding, just the landscape generally in South Africa, where it's predominantly produced, how it gets produced, if you want to start out, when you should plant, when you harvest, how do you plant, all of the basics, kind of nitty-gritties when you're getting into a specific commodity. Canelo, I also see you there. Really great to have you. Also, how excited are you guys about the Indaba? Mufunwa joining from Midrand. Thank you, Mufunwa. Really great to have you here. Are you producing anything, Mufunwa? I'm really interested to know what's happening with urban farming. So if there are any urban farmers in this live, please message me, because there's another contact of mine that is really keen to connect with urban farmers in South Africa. So if you'd like to, just please message me, Dornumdu on Instagram. I'd love to connect you with someone who's doing a research project or some research on just understanding what urban farmers are doing in South Africa. Okay, cool. Where are my speakers? I've been interested in sugarcane. Great. This is the perfect session for you. I just did the test with them. Let me just quickly message them. Accept. Putle. Putle, are you here? Sometimes the network does crazy things, guys. No, I'm not producing anything. I am a soil science researcher. Perfect. Thank you so much. I've requested. Okay, Butle, you've requested. I think it's maybe lagging on my side. Soil science researcher. So does it mean you're a soil scientist, or I'm not sure if I've heard that specific term before. Soil science research. I'm always interested to know about the various different jobs in agriculture, guys. Like, seriously, there are so many. Before I became an agricultural journalist, I didn't even know that was even a possibility for me to step into it. And now that I'm in it, I'm just like amazed by all the other opportunities there are for people within agriculture. So please tell us more about, what do you do as a soil science researcher? Or does it mean you're just a soil scientist? I think there should be a difference. Okay, Butle, I'm trying hard for you to come and join me so that I'm not joined in from Bloemfontein. I can't wait for the farmers in Daba. Yes, I'm so excited, guys. Also, just in case, like, I'm going to be there in somewhat of a farmer's outfit. fellies and everything. So I'm looking forward to taking lots of pictures with the farmers. So, and what's the standard? This was a standard outfit. What is it? The khaki shorts and the two tones. Is that what they call it now? The two-toned things. Let me see. Unable to join. What's happening tonight, guys? Please forgive me with all of this not being able to. Butle and Tumo. Here we go. I see you. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Both my speakers are with me. Perfect. Now I can stop babbling. Okay, welcome to my two speakers this evening. Very much welcome. You know, I didn't get the memo. These shades of clothes. I was out. I'm out with the colors. Perfect. Okay. I'm going to start with my first guest. Tumo is from the South African Sugarcane Research Institute. Welcome, Tumo. Maybe you can tell us more about what you do, what your journey's been like within the agricultural space, and just more about what the day-to-day is, you know, at the South African Sugarcane Research Institute.
As mentioned, I'm Tumo Macheta. I am a plant breeding researcher at the South African Sugarcane Research Institute. And yeah, so my journey basically began in varsity, studied plant breeding at the University of the Free State. And I joined SASFI last year, and it's been a really good journey. So far, it's so good. My day-to-day basically just involves, I'm currently working on a project where we are developing genetically modified sugarcane. SASFI is releasing a GM sugarcane in a couple of years, so that is my main focus. We're breeding a new variety that is resistant to Aldana, so that is what we're currently working on. So it mainly involves both field work, conventional breeding, crossings, and stuff like that, and then as well as molecular. So copy number, qPCR, transgenesis, tissue culture, all that work. So yeah, that's my work.
Okay, some of that stuff kind of just went over my head, but but it sounds really interesting. And I can't wait to kind of get into more of that as part of the conversation tonight. And just a question follow up, is it the first time that we're creating genetically modified sugarcane variety or production? How does that work? Is that something new that's happening?
Yes, so we are going to be the first in Africa to develop genetically modified sugarcane. So we have not released a GM sugarcane variety. So we're pretty excited about that. South Africa has so far only been focusing on maize. So the next crop that's going to enter is going to be genetically modified sugarcane. So that's pretty exciting.
Oh, wow. That's really exciting. The first in Africa. Okay, that's really great. Okay, cool. And it's so amazing that you get to be you're getting to be working on that. That's really amazing. So well done on that. My other guest is Butle. Butle is an agricultural economist with Green Cape. Butle, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for being here. Your colleague Sister was supposed to be here as well, but her network is crazy. So I'm hoping she's still able to watch us and maybe contribute in the comment section. But tell us more about your work at Green Cape and more about your journey within agriculture and more about what you do day to day. Thanks.
Hi, Dawn, and hi to everyone. My name is Buhle Kweli.
Sorry, Butle, I don't know if it's just me, but I'm not hearing you as clearly. Could you maybe try and speak into the microphone a little bit closer to your face? Yeah, thanks.
Am I audible now?
Yes, much better, thank you.
Okay. Hi guys, my name is Buhle Kweli. I work for Green Cape. I work for the agricultural sector desk there under sustainable agriculture. I'm also a master's student with Stellenbosch University, where I am looking at the value chain of black sheep farmers in the Eastern Cape Karoo. So value chain analysis, that's what I'm busy with. And then at Green Cape, I am also doing value chain analysis of farmers who are looking to procure alternative energy systems. So what the idea behind that is that we are trying to create a guideline for them virtual guide on which alternative energy systems are suitable for each type of farmer. So I was studying all the farmers and trying to write that situational guideline. It will be out soon. So you must check the Green Cape page. Yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I'm excited for this engagement today, and I'm hoping to learn from everyone as much as possible.
No, definitely, that's amazing. Please be sure to also forward that research and all that write up as soon as it's available. It's always great to kind of get a better understanding of what's actually happening with farmers on the ground. And I mean, this is just what some farmers have said to me. They almost feel like the Eastern Cape sometimes gets overlooked a little bit when it comes to kind of resources and, you know, kind of flooding of people kind of helping farmers in that region. I'm not sure how true that is, but that has been some of the feedback that I've gotten from farmers. So I'm really great that there's a focus on the Eastern Cape and farming communities in that area. But thank you so much for giving me a bit of an outline of what you guys do as well at Green Cape and more about your work. Thank you to both of you again, and thank you to everyone who's listening in, watching us from wherever you're joining in from. Remember, all of this will be available on Food for Mzansi Instagram Live after the session, and you're more than welcome to ask any specific questions to our speakers. I will read it out, and if there's anything else that you'd like to ask them, please do connect with them on Instagram and the other platforms post this session as well if you'd like to know more. Okay, first question. Tumo, I'm going to go with you just to give us a bit of an overview, you know, of sugarcane production in South Africa. What is the, you know, what are the key aspects to understand? Total crop land under cultivation, you know, average yield per hectares. What does the landscape look like for us when it comes to sugarcane production within Mzansi?
So when it comes to South African, the sugarcane industry in South Africa, it's currently experiencing a decline at the moment, which is why we're pushing so much research to actually support it. But the country is one of the major exporters of sugarcane in Africa. We are majority of the sugarcane, the sugar that we produce is for export, and that is the main drive of the industry. Yeah. So currently we have a number of millers and milling companies, and these are mainly situated around the sugarcane production areas. So we have both inland or irrigated sugarcane production areas, and then we also have the coastal or the rain-fed production regions in South Africa. So when it comes to the percentages specifically, I don't have much knowledge on that, as I'm mostly focused on the breeding side. But if anyone is looking to know more about the specific the tons that we produce and, you know, how much area is being cultivated in the country, I think the South African Sugarcane Research Institute website has fantastic resources that can provide information on this. So if you're looking at how much we produce in the number of years, how much we are aiming for, then that's one place that will provide the accurate numbers.
Thanks so much, Tumo. Maybe you can just, if you're able to give us just the regions where we do produce sugarcane within the country.
Oh, yeah, sure. So in South Africa specifically, the sugarcane the sugarcane production areas is mainly around KwaZulu-Natal and stretches upwards towards Mpumalanga. So that's where the main sugarcane activities, and a bit of the Eastern Cape as well, just next to KwaZulu-Natal. That's where the sugarcane region. So, you know, you have areas such as Pongola towards Mpumalanga, you have the North Coast, you have your Midlands North, you have Umzimkhulu, those type of areas. That's where sugarcane mainly takes place. So sugarcane is a cash crop in these areas. Mpumalanga, a part of Eastern Cape, as well as KZN.
And I'm going to stay with you for the next question as well. When it comes to, you know, what are the key considerations when it comes to selecting specific sugarcane varieties for cultivation in these different regions? Does it change, from region to region? And what would you kind of advise farmers who's just starting out within the industry?
So, when it comes to selecting, so varieties will depend on areas that you are farming under. So this is mainly based on the soil conditions. It's mainly based on the irrigation, as I've mentioned. Is it coastal areas? Is it rain-fed? Is it irrigated? Is it dry land? What type of pests are occurring there? So it mainly depends on such factors. So what the South African Sugarcane Research Institute does is that they will release a list. I think the latest one was released on the 1st of March this month. So it basically will give you a list of varieties that they would advise you in a specific area to plant. For example, in Pongola, you would plant your N14, your N22s, you would plant your N80s, and then in Umfolozi would be a different, or some would be similar. So it's just to make sure that farmers don't that they don't experience losses, or they don't face problems when it comes to the growth of the sugarcane. So it's just to provide farmers with sugarcane varieties that are very, very suitable for their regions and ensure that they get good productivity from those varieties. And some of the varieties have specific traits. So some are more drought tolerant in more drier regions. Some are fast growers. Some are more insect resistant. Some are pest resistant. So those are the kind of information that you can find from the South African Sugarcane Research Institute.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. I think it's a perfect resource to have, on board for anyone starting out in the industry. Buhle, I wonder if you can join for my next question, just to kind of give us an outline on the ideal soil conditions for successful sugarcane farming, and kind of what needs to be changed to kind of ensure that you kind of optimize on yield.
Sugarcane is quite easy on the nutrients. Your primary nutrients that needs to be there on the soil is your nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. In terms of making sure that it grows and produces enough yield, make sure that the irrigation is proper, and also...
Sorry, Buhle, maybe just to move closer to the microphone.
Am I audible enough now?
Much better now, thank you.
Yeah, I'm saying your irrigation needs to be proper. In most parts of the world, they use your drip irrigation system because that's also water efficient, and it helps the sugarcane grow effectively, and also weed control. Most people use your natural or your traditional weed control methods just to make sure that it grows efficiently and it produces the required yield.
You actually answered in part, my next question. And it comes to how important is proper irrigation in sugarcane farming, and what are some of the kind of efficient irrigation techniques for this specific crop? And I'm really trying to get an understanding of someone that might not have as much as many resources available, and what do they do compared to someone who is maybe set up in a way that they have access to more funding and capital to put all of that basic infrastructure in. So if you can just kind of break it down for us in terms of those two scales on farm production level. Thanks. Tumo, you're also more than welcome to answer after Buhle.
Also, in agriculture, they vary according to size. If you're a smallholder farmer, you will use your traditional methods of irrigating that. As long as it's efficient, that the plants are getting enough water and there is no water wastage. For a commercial farmer, they do use furrow irrigation, they do use drip irrigation, but as I said, the desired method that people use is usually drip irrigation because it also saves them water. Because remember now, if you are to pump water, you're using electricity. So you always want something that's going to save money for you at the end of the day, and that is resource efficient for you as a farmer.
Thanks, Buhle. Tumo, anything that you'd like to add on that question?
No, I think what Butle covered is actually the standard in the industry. I think drip irrigation is one of the most, I think if you have access to it as a farmer, if you are able to install a great drip irrigation system, I think it's one of the most efficient. It's the one we use in research. It's efficient. It saves water. The plants enjoy the type of watering they get from drip irrigation. But for small scale farmers, I think I also agree with that. Traditional methods also do work and have been very effective over the years, and they've received good yield from such methods. So I think it just depends on what you have access to as a farmer.
Yeah. Can we talk for a moment on those traditional methods? Speak to me as if I know nothing. What are some of those traditional methods or practices that farmers use if they don't have, if they're not able to set up proper drip irrigation systems?
Such methods as Butle has mentioned, fair irrigation, those are type of methods that you just connect to a nearby water source and then channel the water towards your crops, and that will allow the soil to be drenched and receive the water. But I'm not I don't have much knowledge on such methods, but these are methods that have been used previously before detox. So it's just basically channeling the water towards the field. So I think Butle might have more knowledge on that, maybe can touch up on the methods that traditional methods.
It's really nothing fancy. It's like using your hose pipe, using that thing that you use to water your plants when you're watering your flowers, like that. So it's nothing fancy. It's just like now it will be more labor intensive because you'll actually need people to go around the field and actually water the plants. And it depends on the scale, really. The big field is going to be really difficult for you, but then if you're a small scale farmer, then it's going to work. It's nothing fancy.
Yeah.
Okay, so the simple thing of just coming and manually watering. I thought maybe there's like some other, because I have seen people using those big roller drums as a way, but I don't know if that's practical for sugarcane farming. But we can get into that because we are going to start talking about the spacing of planting and the planting process in a moment. Maybe the next question would be just common pests and diseases that affect sugarcane farmers. And what strategies do you recommend for pest and disease management? Tumu, would you like to take this one as a plant breeder?
Sure. So I think one pest that comes, one disease that comes into mind, first one has to be raccoon stunting disease, which basically stops the plant from rattooning, and it has been a major disease that the sugarcane industry has been battling, but I think because of the integrated pest disease management strategies, we've been able to minimize that. Other include the one that I'm working on currently, Eldana saccharina walker, also known as the African sugarcane borer. It's a tiny little a worm that burrows basically through the sugarcane stalk. It feeds inside the stem, and which is the main product of sugarcane. So by doing so, it causes these called the mines, and that basically decreases the farmer's yields close to 20%. So a farmer can basically lose the entire year if not controlled. And then you have other diseases such as the rust, your tawny rusts, you have your brown rust, and these are basically fungal infections of the leaves. So if the leaves get infected, then this affects your photosynthesis. So you don't get the manufacturing of your carbohydrates, your sucrose, that is the main product of sugarcane. And then you have aphids, sugarcane aphids, which basically just suck on the sugarcane juice, and that also affects farmers' yield. You have thrips as well. So there are a wide variety of important pests and diseases, but the sugarcane industry has developed what we call an integrated pest or disease management strategy. So this basically includes different aspects or components that can be used to minimize the effects of these pests. So this can include habitat management. How is your field looking like? How are you cleaning up after your thrashing and such things? It also includes things like soil management. So how is your soil? Your soil also needs to be in a certain conditions to ensure that such pests and diseases don't affect your sugarcane crop. Others include, variety resistant. So what type of varieties are you planting? These are, when you combine all these aspects together, you get an integrated management strategy, which basically allows you to minimize the impact or the negative effects of these pests and diseases as much as you can. But I think the most economical would be varietal resistance, which is my job as a plant breeder, which is basically developing sugarcane varieties that possess good resistance against pests and diseases, so that even when a small scale farmer plants these, then they don't have to spend as much on input costs related to integrated pest management. They don't have to spray as much chemical treatments in order to minimize this. So I think varietal resistance is one that we're always pushing for to complement integrated pest and disease management strategies.
Thank you so much.
I think I'll just jump in. Tumo pretty much said everything that I had in my mind, but just to emphasize on the thing that he said, it's very much important to understand your environment, to understand your region. Just as like if you are planting, you need to understand this crop is going to be suitable for this type of climate and so forth. So if you understand that, you want to understand which disease resistant crop that you must plant in that region. But also I think another most effective and economical way of doing that is your crop rotation. I mean, if you've been planting in the same region for quite some time, then if you change it, then but pretty much just to understand the type of environment that you're in and just using those ways that are effective and cheap for you as a farmer.
Thank you so much, Buhle. And we have some questions coming through from our audience. And I'm not sure if they'll be able to answer these as agricultural economists and plant breeders, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Sikulula saying, sorry I joined late, but how do you ensure people, move from small scale to large scale? And how do they access markets? As we currently know, there's a sort of monopoly on sugarcane, Tonga Hewlett, just there, a comment from Siku, and then another one from Tanash saying 30 years plus into democracy. What is the number of women in sugarcane production? Is the media doing enough to showcase such points of light who play a crucial role in sweetening Africa? I think maybe as an agricultural economist, could you take part this question from Siku and Tanash, and then Tumo, if you can talk about some of the work that you guys are doing with women farmers in the sector, that would be great. I'll start with you, Buhle.
These are difficult questions, and if everyone here can just jump in and help. But I mean, how you move depends on the scale of production you are producing in, and also your market. Where are you planting? For example, if you are in KwaZulu-Natal, there are more chances that you'll expand and be bigger, and the type of resources you have as a farmer. I mean, they are funding that farmers are applying for. I know the land bank funding that you can apply for to expand. But I mean, there are a lot of things to take into place. So it's basically the scale that you're operating in. Do you have market? Yeah, that's what comes to my mind at this point.
Thanks, Buhle. I think there are various programs. We actually published something a while ago on the overall production of sugarcane within the country. So I'll try and maybe find that article and also post the link here on the session, or please message me privately if you'd like to know more about just giving an overview. And I'm sure the South African Sugarcane Research Institute also has some of that data available too, more, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and so just in terms of what you're aware of, I know this is not a big part of what the work that you do. You're mostly focused on working in the lab and doing most of the research on it. But are there specific, programs that you guys are aware of that run specifically to support women farmers in the sugarcane industry?
Yes, I've seen. Well, I'm not. Don't know much about the things that happen in agricultural extension. I think that's more. So that's a field that an agricultural extensionist would be knowledgeable about, because they are the ones that reach out and get involved with farmers. But I've been reading up and seeing articles where witness women being involved in basically learning. So I think from an education side, I think in order to empower women and to allow them to enter into the sugarcane agricultural space, I think we need to firstly start with acknowledging that, you know, this industry used to be a very male-dominated industry in the beginning. So not a lot of women had access to information. So in order for us to basically empower women now, would have to be through educating and establishing programs where we provide women with the skills and the knowledge to be able to undertake sugarcane farming, and not just simple basic farming, but I think they should just be involved in the entire industry as a whole, from disease management to how do you identify diseases, to how do you select varieties, nutrition, which fertilizers to use. So I think as a whole, the program should be aimed at giving women the full skills to be able to take on sugarcane farming. So I think I know that the South African Sugarcane Research Institute offers a sugarcane course. So it's basically a short course that you can take, and as a woman, you can take. I've seen women take part in this. You can take the course, and you basically get the full lowdown on everything related to the agricultural industry. You get to engage with the biotechnologists, you learn from the plant breeders, you learn from the extensionists, the GIS people. So you basically get an in-depth knowledge into the sugarcane industry. So I think that is one way we can ensure that women are included and empowered within the sugarcane industry.
Thank you so much, Tumo. And just while you were chatting, I came across some articles on the South African Cane Growth Association. Butle saying beautifully said, Tumo. So thanks so much. I agree with you, Butle. The South African Cane Growth Association, there's an article there. I'm just on your website as well as the South African Sugarcane Research Institute, and there's a lot of resources available there. So if you'd like to know more, please hop over to those two websites. Food from Zanzi also has a lot of this content and research available for you to look at. If you guys can explain, just the process of planting sugarcane, including like spacing, depth, and any kind of pre-planting treatments that is required when it comes to sugarcane production. Timo or both of you guys, either one could take this one.
Well, so with planting, so I'm not also don't know much about the planting in terms of the commercial or what the farmers usually plant, or how they plant sugarcane. But with the side visits that I've conducted so far, sugarcane is a vegetatively propagated crop, so it can grow either from seed, so you can actually get sugarcane seed, or you can plant it from stick, which is basically the internodes that you can see from sugarcane. So how they basically plant it is that you take the stick from one variety and then you cut it up and then you bundle it up. So how they would just throw they would make, they would basically prepare the soil and then place the stick in horizontally. So now from the internodes, that's where you're going to get now the individual sugarcane crops from there. And then they plant them in 2-meter spacings. So I've seen the guys take a piece of string marked with 2-meter intervals. The one would stand on the other side of the field and the other would stand on this side. And then they would just basically mark all these 2-meter intervals. And then that's where they would place the stick and then close the soil up. After a couple of weeks, then you will see the sugarcane starting to emerge. And with seed, I don't think it's something that is planted in by farmers. It's usually more on the research side. So after we've done crossings, because sugarcane does flower, even though it flowers profusely, we would basically do the crosses in the greenhouse. After doing the crosses, then germinate the seeds. So you would get the seedlings, just these small seedlings at this age, and then you plant them into trays. We use air bricks, which is just bricks with holes, and that's how we would plant the seedlings. This takes longer in comparison to the stick method, which is a very fast, and I think it's the most suitable method for farmers. If they can get stick from the supplier or the South African Sugarcane Research Institute, then I think that's the method that farmers would benefit from in comparison to planting from seed, which takes a while and requires more labor and resources. I don't know if Buhle knows more about how farmers do it in a commercial setting.
I'm obviously not a specialty in this, but as you said, I think spacing is very much important between plants, because remember now the stalks are going to grow up and so forth.
Yeah.
And so, as I mentioned before, one thing that comes from the top of my head is that your soil should be properly, you should have nutrients like your NPK, your nitrogen, your phosphorus, and potassium, and it requires moist soil for it to grow in proper sunlight. As I said, I'm not a specialty in this, but I think from the top of my head, that's what I can say.
Thank you so much, Buhle, and thank you so much, Tumo, for just like going over to him. Guys, my throat is really giving me problems. I'm so sorry about this. What are some of I think you've actually answered my next question, Buhle, in terms of the nutrient management. You have mentioned it twice now in the session. And then, how does one kind of maintain it throughout the season? And if I could just get a response of like timelines, how does it work from when you plant it from I think it's from the stalk, so that initial stalk that you put in up until you're able to harvest? What is that timeline? How long is the season usually? And then the other question is just around, common weed control methods used in sugarcane farming, and how do you kind of balance weed management with environmental concerns as well? But I think also just to come in there, Tumo, you mentioned that some of these varieties, weed control would not be much of an issue, but if you can just explain that to us as well, please.
So the South African sugarcane industry has released a variety that is called N12 Zeppa. So what N12 Zeppa is, it's basically a modified, or genetically, I wouldn't say modified, but it's a mutation bred variety. So it basically has resistance to a herbicide. So when you apply the herbicide, it only targets the weeds, but the plants are not affected by the application of these herbicides or chemical treatments. But we're also currently, this is one of the projects that I'm currently working on, also developing another sugarcane variety that is resistant to now imazapur, which is another, but this one is genetically modified. We're using a mutated ALS, acetolactate synthase gene, to basically confer resistance to a herbicide, imazapur. So I think that is just to ensure that farmers can now apply these herbicides without affecting the growth of the plants. This is just to minimize the competition, or basically the negative effects that are brought by the presence of weeds in the fields. Yes.
Thanks, Tomo. Any comments on that one, Buhle? The question just around, weed control management overall when it comes to sugarcane production?
Yeah, I can just add that you just need to apply a method that is balanced, not too much of a herbicide application, but also you still require labor for your manual weeding process, so that you don't apply too much herbicides, so that you are being cost effective on one end, but on the other side you're not damaging the plants. So yeah.
Yeah. Also, just to add on to that quickly before we move on, I think also another thing that's important is also the of the herbicide. We've seen in the past that certain herbicides are now becoming ineffective against the weeds. So weeds are now building a stronger immunity, or basically resistance against these herbicides. So I think it's important that farmers also do not over apply a certain or specific class of herbicides, because that is going to bring about a bigger problem, which is herbicide-resistant weeds, which is what we don't want in the future. So I think that's also a very important thing to consider.
Thanks so much. Where does one access this information besides like us sharing it here on this platform? Who does one go to for this kind of advice? Besides farmer to farmer, feedback and people sharing knowledge in that way, where would be the best place to access, experts like yourself if I'm producing for the first time?
In terms of herbicides, I think, as I've mentioned this again, South African Sugarcane Research Institute has, I think, a wide variety of manuals and information toolkits that farmers can basically just read. It just provides a simple, easy to read guide on which weeds are a problem in certain areas and what type of herbicides they should apply and what type of integrated weed management strategy they should use. So it's not just herbicide application that works against weeds, but it's also an integrated approach whereby you use several aspects and strategies to basically minimize the presence of the presence of weeds in the field. So I think farmers should, if anyone is interested in learning more about weeds, I think the South African Sugarcane Research Information Institution information guides are the best place to go and to look for information. Also, you can also, I think a lot of farmers are not aware of this, but you can also contact these researchers directly. So if you go onto the SASRI website, you can actually see who's working with weeds, who's working with agrochemicals, and you can actually contact this person by email and actually send a query, and they are more than welcome to help you with this information. They are always willing to provide information. I think that's one of the reasons why they do their job, is to help and to be of a good service to the farming industry, specifically with regards to sugarcane.
Thank you so much, Tumo, for just making that point very clear, because I've had so many people from, the Agricultural Research Council themselves also, they do so much amazing, research in this space, but it doesn't quite transition over because you feel like you don't have access to it, but it's there. You just have to sit and go and look through the website. It is there. It's really there. So much of the content that I produce for our Farmers Inside Track podcast, I get it from like your institute. I get it from the Agricultural Research Council. I think it's just that transition, but you actually coming out and saying, hey, go and speak to these researchers directly. They want to share this information with you. Yeah. No, thank you for that. Okay, I'm going to...
And also, add to that point, the extension workers, of course, your farmers co-op, obviously they'll want to sell you their herbicides, but I mean, they are who are honest. And also to go to your neighboring farmer. I mean, right now I'm working in the sustainability front. We always want to find ways that are sustainable of controlling these weeds. So if you can go to a farmer that's been there for quite some time and they can help you, I mean...
Brilliant. I agree with you 100%, Butle, and I agree with you as well, Timo. It is really great, and we should be able to tap into these, available resources that are there for farmers to use and access. Okay, I just want to also say to Atini, Atini asking, please save the video. As I mentioned, it will be available after this, and also remember all of our Gather to Grow sessions also gets published on Food from Zanzi's YouTube channel. And then each session also gets an article that gets published with just some of the key highlights. So you can also go there and listen to the session again afterwards. I think we mentioned this earlier in the session, but can we maybe talk about the importance of crop rotation and field management practices in sugarcane farming, and particularly when it comes to maintaining soil health and preventing disease buildup? Putle, do you want to take this one?
Sure. I mean, crop rotation helps in a number of issues. It helps with maintaining your soil fertility. It helps in reducing pest pressure, disease. It prevents disease build up. There are a number of, benefits from rotating your soil. If you plant a certain crop for a long time, your soil tends to lose its, quality. But then if you rotate it and plant something else or give it time to rest, then you will recover it. So there are many benefits of rotating your soil. Those are the ones that come from the top of my head. I don't know if you have anything to add, Tumo.
No, you said it perfectly. I think that sums everything up.
Okay, and then in the last few minutes, I just want to kind of highlight any other, environmental factors that people should be aware of, temperatures, humidity, sunlight exposure when it comes to sugarcane farming, in terms of, just growth and development overall. And what are some of the other factors that we should kind of understand and kind of try and mitigate as potential risks associated with these various factors? Tumo, or maybe Tumo, you could take this one.
It's just the one thing that's important that people should know when it comes to environmental factors and other factors that can affect sugarcane is that it's a subtropical, it's a tropical subtropical crop. So I think if you're within a region that has this type of weather climate, which is basically the South African sugarcane production regions, your Mpumalanga, your KwaZulu-Natal, your lower Eastern Cape, then I think you are within the proper regions for farming with sugarcane with regards to the temperature, the humidity, and the sunlight. But these are the important ones, I think: temperature, humidity, and sunlight, because now you need to make sure that your crop is not drying out, it's not experiencing water stress, there's not a lot of evapotranspiration that's happening throughout the day that leads to your plants experiencing water stress. You also need to ensure that your plant is receiving enough sunlight to be able to photosynthesize. And remember, that is how the plants are creating the sucrose content in the stalks. That's the main product that we want, which is where the sugar comes from. So you need to ensure that it has enough water, it has enough temperature to be able to regulate all of these processes, because cold stress is another thing. And also when it comes to humidity, certain percentages of humidity will make the crop more or less susceptible to diseases, and things like rusts. They love a good humidity, so you must ensure that when you're within areas that have high humidity, then you have measures in place to be able to mitigate the occurrence of these pests and diseases. So I think, from what I know so far, those are the factors that are important. I don't know if Busha has any other ones that might be highlighted that are important with sugarcane, but also I think we've also touched on the others. Nutrition is also important. It plays along with your temperature, your soil, and all these other things. So I think maybe Busha might touch upon more factors or aspects.
No. I think you've summed it up beautifully again. The only thing I can add is that you should also be a responsible farmer. So if there's a river, there's a dam, you should prevent runoff, because you are applying your pesticides just to make sure you are safe. So you are practicing sustainable methods of environment. But I think, Tumo, you pretty much summed it beautifully.
Thank you so much, Buhle and Tumo. And Ipeleng also just saying, very informative session, 100%. Thank you, Ipeleng. I'm going to have you come through now, Ipeleng, because we need to chat about how excited you are for the Food for Mzansi Young Farmers in Daba. I just want to go through my last and final question with our speakers this evening, just to kind of take us through, if they're able to, the processing aspect of it. And when do you kind of understand, when sugarcane is ready for harvest, and what are some of the best kind of harvesting practices to kind of implement from day one if you're starting out in the industry?
Tumo, can you jump in? I absolutely have no idea, and I'm not even ashamed to say it.
Yeah, I also I think that's one information that is, I think if we had someone from the millers, I think the millers are the ones that would know what the things that they would look for, because as we get involved much with that, I think we usually just target your flowering seasons once, I think around 7 months, 8 months, when now we get flowering. That's where we target. But I think once the stem has accumulated enough sucrose content, I think that's where you would want to harvest. But also, you don't want to delay your harvesting to a point where now your sugarcane has a thicker stem, because now when it has a thick stem and it's now hardy, it becomes a problem for the millers when they extract the sugarcane, because now the fiber content is a lot, because as it grows older now, it accumulates fiber inside the stem. It's no longer just sucrose. So farmers have a problem when it comes to squeezing out the juice from these from the sugar cane. And they've actually highlighted that, because with one of the research that we're doing, we're looking at increasing fiber content, or basically selecting for fiber content as a way to provide resistance to all-down. And the millers were saying, no, you are going to break our machines. We need a lower content. So I think it's the people that know more about this, I think they would also go around at an age whereby the stem is mature enough, but not too mature that it has accumulated fiber and a thicker outer stem that will affect basically the extraction or the juicing or the milling of the stalks. Basically get your sucrose or your sugar from the stalks.
Yeah, I think we can probably have a whole other session just on the processing side of it, because that in itself, there's a lot of information that can come from there as well. But thank you so much for giving that outline to more, and thank you to both of you. And like our booth is also like anyone who knows, I love it. Yeah, thank you so much to both of you. We've come to the end of this part of the live. I do appreciate both of your insights on this topic. This is the second time I'm actually focusing on sugarcane farming, but I like to rerun and go over a specific commodity every once in a while, specifically when I feel like, okay, we can touch on it again if it has gone on, if it happened long ago. Anything that you'd like to add in closing before we wrap up? I'm going to start with you, Butle, and then finish off with two more. Thanks, Butle.
No, Dawn, I'd just like to thank you for inviting me to this platform, and thank you to everyone who has joined and listened to us and has pretty much participated. Thank you to Tumo. I would actually like to connect with him. I've also gained so much. So those would be my closing words for today. Thank you so much, guys.
Absolutely, I absolutely love it. This is what these sessions are like made for. We gather, we grow together, and we connect. That's definitely what I love about it. So if you're not following each other, if you're not saying, hey, I want to speak to that person or that person, then I haven't done my job. But thank you so much. Tumo, over to you. K Panda saying, always love these sessions. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Tumo, your last word.
My last word is basically just to say, if anyone is interested in getting into sugarcane, I think that's a good thing. I think the South African sugarcane industry needs more farmers to get into the space. I think we are at a very scary moment in the industry whereby the sugarcane industry is declining. So if anyone is interested in joining sugarcane, I would highly, highly advise them to do so. And there is so much information out there. If you want to learn, if you want to get help, there's so many resources that are available from the South African Sugarcane Association, from the research institutes that are designed to help people. And also such sessions are amazing. I mean, I got to sit and talk with everyone, and I think this is good. So information sharing is going to be the future, that is going to be our future when we want to move forward with sugarcane farming.
Thank you to both Butle and Tumo for joining us for the sugarcane section, or at least the sugarcane farming section of this live. I'm now going to ask Ipeleng to join me. So I'd like to ask you both to just drop the call, and then I'll connect with you again. Also, just to say to you, thank you for joining me and for being part of this discussion today. It has been absolutely amazing. I was actually just saying that I'll be buying you both. Either we could do virtual coffees and we could just catch up and talk about sugarcane or talk about anything else. But just to say thank you to you both. And then I'd like to invite Ipeleng to come and request to join so that I can just chat to her about the upcoming Indaba. She's going to be one of our speakers at the event. And then while she joins us, I'll give you just a short update on what we're going to be doing for next week. Tumo and Butle, bye-bye for now. I will connect with you very soon and hope to meet you in person and not just this virtual thing. But thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Dawn.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Bye-bye. Bye. Um, I think Ipeleng, are you with me? There we go. Hello!
Hi, Dawn.
It's so nice to see you. How are you?
Oh, I'm pretty good. I've been cooking. Then I was like, okay, Food from Zanzi is now online on Instagram. Let me
Yes.
just catch up with them. Your sessions are so informative.
Yeah. No, thank you. Thank you, Ipeleng. I feel like I keep saying to people, suggest topics because I really want to make it so that people actually learn a lot from it. So anything that you guys would like me to go and find people on to talk about, I'm more than welcome. Well, like more than happy to like go and find people to speak to. But I want to say I miss you. I can't wait to see you next week. I'm telling you, I'll come to you like, Ipeleng! Ipeleng! If I don't,
Oh, I
if
miss
I
you,
don't
Dawn. I see your business of honey is doing well. You must bring us more.
I will. I'll bring you some honey. Is that Khomotso coming on there? Is that the same Khomotso that I know? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I see there are a lot of farmers who are online, and I see a lot of
Yes,
farmers who be speakers at Indaba. Also,
yes,
I saw.
yes. Yeah, but I'm really excited about it. So you're gonna be doing a session at the Indaba. Maybe you can tell us more about what you'll be doing and also just what your excitement is generally for the Indaba as a start.
Okay. Look, Don, first of all, all the farmers are preparing to go to Pretoria next week. I'm also in Limpopo. And believe you me, this weekend I'll be packing my bags. The mood is so vibrant. I keep on getting calls from different provinces of YAD members who are really looking forward to our engagement at Indaba. So I'm also excited myself personally because it's so interesting. Farmers, we spend most of the time at the field doing our business, and when it's time like this to meet everybody, to chat. Also, I saw there's a speed braai, so we're gonna network like so much. I can't wait for
Yeah.
next week. Yeah, but basically what I'll be doing, I'm one of the speakers at Indaba. In the previous year, Dawn, you saw that I was on a panel discussion I was blessed to be on the same panel discussions with Dr. Obakeng Fikwe and Hlopsile Yende and other farmers, and Duncan was facilitating the panel discussion. So I'm so happy that in the previous year we were talking more on how you can mitigate around the challenges in the industry, and also diversification of farming, as a business. So look, Dawn, I'm so excited. I feel like Food from Zanzi is growing. Young farmers
Yes,
in
same,
it's growing.
same, same.
So I'm so excited.
The crazy thing about it is last year, everyone was like, we need to do this on a farm because there needs to be practical aspects as well. And this year, Food from Zanzi was like, okay, cool. We've heard you. We're going to do now. So I think that's a really great aspect as well, that it's not just going to be a talk shop. There's going to be practical activities as well. And so there's going to be a chance for you to network, but also to learn practical skills, which I'm really excited about. That's like the one aspect I'm like, yes, we're on a farm this year. We're literally going to be on a farm, watching live from Gaborone. Oh, wow, Botswana. So lovely. Okay, great. Khomotso. It's not the same. Hello. And just on that note, there's going to be attendees from Nigeria, Lesotho, Zambia, Zimbabwe. So it's really bigger, much bigger than last year. And that's what I'm really, really excited about. So, and I see that Yard is also going to be participating. So big ups to Yard for being there. So obviously your representatives from all the provinces coming through.
Yes, look, we've got over 150 YAD members who will be at Indaba. I know about 100 that has already confirmed their accommodation, they bought their tickets. And look, nationally, Eastern Cape, I've got guys who are flying in from Eastern Cape and Western Cape, and KZN obviously will also participating as well in the panel discussion. Look, Gauteng is standing up. Gauteng is standing up. You know, I saw their list today when they submitted who's gonna be present. I was excited that look, Gauteng it's central. So I mean, it's gonna be easier for all our yard members from different provinces to come in and participate.
But yeah, thank you so much for your time, Ipileng. We'll connect again soon. Hopefully next week we are able to share some more highlights. But for now, go over to Food from Zanzi, go book your ticket, go and find out more on the website, speak to us directly. Have a good evening, say hi to your husband, and then we talk again soon.